The Legend of Zelda first released as a launch title for the Family Computer Disk System in 1986. Set in the fantasy land of Hyrule, the game stars an elf-like boy named Link, who embarks on a quest to rescue Princess Zelda from the evil Ganon, using the power of a magical artifact called the Triforce. Containing a large for its time overworld and multiple dungeons for the player to explore, its US release was the first home console game to include an internal battery in the country, used for saving gameplay data. This version was ported back to Japan in 1994. The main theme of The Legend of Zelda, composed by Koji Kondo, has been rearranged and used as the main theme throughout the franchise, and can first be heard on the title screen. However, using original music for the title screen was not always the plan. Kondo planned to use Maurice Ravel's Boléro as the title theme, but was unaware that it was not yet in the public domain, and therefore could not be used freely due to copyright laws. The other music for the game had already been completed, so Kondo took one day to rearrange the game's overworld theme into the title theme of the final release, allowing the now iconic music to be the first thing heard when booting up the game, and then again upon starting the adventure as the overworld theme. This theme being present in two forms so early in the gameplay experience cemented the tune as an earworm of the game. We will focus on the title screen music from the original NES game for this analysis, but since the theme is present in so many later games, and is also used as the ground level music in the original game, much of the analysis can be applied to the various versions of the theme found throughout the series. We will also take some time to compare the title theme arrangement to Ravel's Boléro to explore the similarities. We start with an intro that lasts just a bit over 15 seconds, which teases the primary theme. In the key of B-flat major, we have a 1 chord, a flat 7, a flat 6, a 5, and then we're back to our 1 chord. But it's minor, as we can tell from the melody using a D flat note instead of a D natural. The flat 7, flat 6, and the minor 1 chords are borrowed from the parallel minor, B flat minor. A parallel minor key shares the same tonic note as its parallel major. In this example, the tonic of both keys is B flat. You could also just analyze this intro in B flat minor, but since the main meat of this piece is, in my opinion, in B flat major, let's use that from the get-go. Plus, borrowing chords outside of B flat major will be a major part of this analysis. We then start on the same harmonic journey in a new short section that is again just teasing the main theme. I say we're in B-flat major now because we have a D natural note in our melody, which would be flat in B-flat minor. So we start on our 1 chord, and we move to our flat 7, flat 6, and 5 chords as before. A short fragment of our main theme melody is played, echoed, and then played and echoed again, with only harmony being what changes. Due to the sound limitations of the hardware, when the echo is happening, the bass line gets messed with a bit since only a limited number of channels could be pumping out sound at the same time. When that echo is not happening, you can hear a bit more harmonic context added on top of the bass that helps us outline the chords at play here. After this, we finally get to hear our full melody. The triumphant sound of the rapid ascent we heard in the previous section is used and harmonized by a lower voice, and then echoed by it, before we continue on. Let's listen to this short section, which follows the same harmonic progression as before, except with a twist at the end. We had our 1, flat 7, and flat 6, but then we ended up with a flat 3, a D-flat major chord. We borrow our flat 3 chord, D-flat major, from B-flat minor, like we borrowed our flat 7 and flat 6 chords. But this chord actually serves as a pivot chord to the relative major, as we then use chords from the key of D-flat major. Okay, let's back up a bit and break that down because we're throwing a lot of terminology around. Let's look here. When we borrow chords from another key, we effectively go to that key very temporarily. So once we hit this flat 7 chord, we're temporarily in B-flat minor. Not enough for me to comfortably say we've fully transitioned over, because it's for such a short time. But effectively, we're there. Kinda like a detour. So once we hit that D-flat chord, we're still in our temporary home of B-flat minor. But we actually use this chord to journey over to the relative major of B-flat minor, D-flat major. Relative keys share the same notes, but the tonic notes are different. Basically, B-flat minor and D-flat major use the same notes, but one is minor and one is major. So this chord is a 3 chord in B-flat minor, but a 1 chord in D-flat major, and the next few chords fit in the key of D-flat major. So we use this D-flat chord as our pivot chord to pivot over to D-flat major. So to sum it up, now we've taken a detour from a detour. Our main road is B-flat major, we took a detour to B-flat minor, and now we've taken another detour from there to D-flat major. Here in D-flat major, we actually have a very similar progression to the one we've been using. 1, flat 7, and then a 6, but this time it's minor and the root is not flattened. Still, a very similar harmonic idea in terms of numerology. We use this 6 chord to pivot back to B-flat minor. Since it's a B-flat minor chord, it's a 1 chord in the key of B-flat minor. You may have noticed that all this time, we've never gone the full 1, 7, 6, 5 progression from the beginning, as we've never gotten to 5. Well, now we do. Kinda. See, we go from this B-flat chord to a C major chord, which, in this case, is what we call a secondary dominant. It is the 5 chord in the key of F, which is a fifth away from B-flat. We then go to the actual 5 chord of B-flat, F, and with a little chromatic descent in the middle voice, we end up back home sweet home in the key of B-flat major, on a B-flat major chord. We're not quite done yet though, as there is one more section before the music loops back to the beginning. After the 1 chord we left off on, we have the same flat 7, flat 6, and 5 as we found in the opening, but then we're brought to something pretty weird. Our melody lands on a G-flat note, but below that we have 2 arpeggiated B-flat diminished chords. Without that G-flat, it would just be a B-flat diminished chord as the overall harmony, but the lone G-flat in the melody turns it into the flat 6 chord we've been using throughout. To me, this is musically akin to Link being in a dangerous dungeon or other dangerous situation, like he is the lone hero in a villainous scenario. Going further into the music, and this analogy, we end up on a 5 chord, like the hero has triumphed and brought us back to where we just were. We then have the same 2 chord progression again. After this, we head to the key of D-flat major again, and have the harmonic reprise of the flat 7, 6, 5 of 5, 5 progression we heard earlier, with a different melody above it which loops us back to our 1 chord and the beginning of the music. What a wild harmonic journey for such a memorable singable melody. Koji Kondo utilizes complex harmonic techniques for tuneful themes throughout the Legend of Zelda series, including in the music for the Lost Woods, which I analyzed in a prior video. As mentioned previously, Ravel's Boléro was supposed to be the title screen music for The Legend of Zelda, so let's see if we can find any influence that piece may have had on the final product. Ravel's Boléro has two main sections, which we'll call A and B, and an intro section that also serves as a transition section. For simplicity, we'll call this the no melody section because, well, there's no melody in it. The piece cycles through these like so. I'll play it so you can hear, but if you're familiar with the piece, you could skip on over to the timestamp on screen. And then we loop back and do it all again, with different dynamics. There's a bit more to it in terms of orchestration and other things, but for what the NES could pump out, this is all we need to know. If you take this form, get rid of the repetitions of the sections so that the A and B sections play once each, adjust the transitions accordingly, and change the tempo to that of the title screen music we ended up getting, it fits perfectly with the timing of the title screen's looping sequence. Others have made more exciting NES arrangements of Boléro, but I just wanted to make one that seemed as accurate as possible to what I think its implementation would have sounded like. The melodies of Boléro are played over a relentless C major harmony, with the B section's melody adding in some notes outside of the key of C major. Similar to the faux diminished chords in the Zelda theme, there are two faux diminished chords in Ravel's B section theme that are thwarted by the C major harmony underneath it. In fact, in my 8-bit arrangement, they happen right around the same time as they do in the final title screen music, only off by a few seconds. A common misconception I've encountered online is that, if it wasn't for the copyright issue, we would never have gotten the Zelda theme we know today. That isn't true. The overworld music was already written before the title screen music change had to be made, so the theme was already present in the game. However, with this similarity, it's possible that Boléro was in Kondo's ear, and possibly the title sequence, before he wrote the overworld theme, and was a subconscious or conscious influence. While that's a point that could be argued, an easier point to argue is Boléro's rhythmic influence on the title screen music. Both pieces of music have a constant percussion pattern throughout. Here is the one from Boléro. If we take that and change the triplet sixteenths to regular sixteenths, we get this. And if we get rid of the middle section of that, we get our Zelda pattern. While there are many differences between the two pieces of music, I think these arguments point to Boléro influencing the final product we got, beyond its copywritten nature. The Legend of Zelda's theme music uses intricate harmonic language to undergird an earworm of a melody. When introducing modality, chromaticism, or any other systems outside of diatonicism, you run the risk of making a melody that someone can't hum or remember easily, or that feels unsupported by the harmony. Then, you run a potentially higher risk by arranging that theme in a new way. With potential Boléro influences in tow, Kondo was able to balance elaborate harmony and tuneful melody, and even arrange an iconic setting of his theme in one day. Would this theme have become as legendary, no pun intended, as it is today had it not been presented to us right at the title screen of the first game? Fortunately for us, we'll never have to find out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.